Hey everyone, Marty Sleevey here alongside Daniel Krupa.
Hello.
We just got out of the Sony presser. The Sony logo's still behind us.
Yeah.
They haven't turned the lights off yet, though.
They're going to check us out soon, though.
Yeah,
so.
soon. Very soon. We want to talk about the 5 big trends that we noticed during the conference. Let's start off with the first one.
Exclusives. Lots of exclusives on show, actually, but a very different type of exclusive than we got at Microsoft's conference earlier in the day when they announced Rise of the Tomb Raider is coming exclusively to Xbox One. These games aren't Tomb Raider kind of AAA titles.
No.
These are really weird, idiosyncratic, kind of the indie kind of quirky games that Sony's been supporting ever since it really announced its kind of for the gamers kind of strapline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got to see some cool stuff. The first one that I really loved was Rhyme.
Yeah.
That's the big game by Tequila Works. We saw it last year
at Gamescom.
At Gamescom. It's that game that looks like Eco, but with the sort of the art style of Wind Waker. And this trailer they had here, really emotional, really moving.
Yeah, great music.
Yeah,
very stirring. So great to see that again. A little bit more of
Lonely Boy on an Island. That's what I'm gonna call it.
Is that the Marty Sliver story?
Yeah,
okay.
Lonely Boy on an Island. God.
Okay, good.
What was the next one? Q Games came out.
Q Games, the Pixel Jump people. This is the Tomorrow Children?
Yeah, Tomorrow Children. Yeah.
Yeah, and they showed a really long trailer, and I still don't really have a good handle what that game's about. You're kind of these little miniature people, and you're making a stand against alien invaders, but it's kind of underscored with Russian propaganda and Soviet music, and it looks like a tabletop game.
It looked really cool. All those things you said, I'm just completely on
These are all your favorite things.
Yeah, but you're sort of chiseling away at like sort of stone sculptures
like
of
fossilized creatures.
Yeah,
and building homes.
Yeah, so it definitely seems like it has a Minecraft vibe to it, but at the same time you're building a colony and defending against outsiders, and looked really cool. Dylan Cuthbert was the one who introduced that, and he's one of the masterminds behind the original Star Fox, which is crazy.
And then the last one, which is Wild. Where'd that come from?
Seriously, where did it come from? So that was Wild Sheep Studios, a new studio. First game. Michel Ancel has a side project outside of Ubisoft. Not sure how that's
just
legal.
Something he's doing on the side.
Yeah, he has some free time. The game looked really cool.
Yeah, it's like this weird prehistoric game, like pre-civilization. There were cavemen, cave women, but also you could control any animal. So there's like boar, there's wild pig, there's wolves, giant fish. But
and there's like giant skeleton giants.
Yeah, so I don't know whether there's some kind of weird mysticism to it that you can pass consciousness between animals.
It looks cool. Definitely want more. It's crazy that Michel Ancel can
just do that.
Yeah, that man's insane. Second big trend.
So it's kind of Sony still being the place to be. Sony kind of going around and kind of scooping at all these kind of cool games that you find naturally more on PC and indie.
Sure.
So they announced that a lot of these games will be coming first to PS4 before elsewhere. So Mount Bethel's new game, Volume, which is a stealth game.
Follow up to Thomas Was Alone.
Yeah, and you heard some of the narration from Danny Wallace, who's the narrator in Thomas Was Alone. It sounded really good. There was also DayZ.
Yeah. Huge, DayZ. That was the the PC
consoles.
Arma mod. Yeah, it's the permadeath, insane persistent world. We were crazy for it in the office last year.
They said a lot of improvements coming to the PS4 version that will roll back into the PC version as well.
I think people are gonna really dig that.
And then again, you and I are both really interested in, which is the Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
Yeah, this was again we got a slight glimpse of gameplay, and like you mentioned before, that it felt sort of like Murdered Soul Suspect, and where like verbs were appearing.
Yeah, which maybe not the best comparison right now.
A little worried, but I'm still stoked to see more. The game is an amazing atmosphere.
It's influenced by weird fictions, obviously Lovecraft, but also other weird writers like Arthur Machen, Algernon Blackwood, and there was a tentacle in the trailer.
That's the only important thing, is that there's an old god. Yeah. So what was the third trend?
Kind of games not being remastered as much as reimagined.
Okay.
And the first one was Tearaway is coming to PS4, but it's not. Initially, I thought it was a brand new Tearaway game, but it
was really clever how they presented it.
Yeah, so they were saying that I review Tearaway for us, and I love Tearaway, and one thing I love about it is it kind of takes advantage of every aspect of all the weird senses that the Vita has. And so when they said they were trying to adapt it Media Molecule, they said it can't be done because the PS4 doesn't have all those gadgets and gizmos. So they looked at the PS4, DualShock 4, and said, let's make something that uses this. So it's kind of an adaptation, heavily adapted, expanded.
But it seems so cool. You could use, the light on the front of the controller can illuminate things in the environment. You're rubbing across the touch screen in order to create wind patterns.
You can throw an object through the TV screen, not literally, and then catch it in the PS4 controller, and you can hear it rattling around inside.
Yeah, I thought that was really
cool. It's the same kind of, I guess, the same spirit that animates Tearaway is animating Tearaway Unfolded.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And then the other one, we saw it 2 years ago at Gamescom, and nothing for ages.
Until Dawn's back. That was the sort of the 80. It was originally an 80s kind of campy a throwback to the teen slasher genre. This time it seems very much more realistic, and they're saying how there's eight kids in a cabin, and any of them can live, any of them can die, depending on your choices. We also, they didn't say it, but that was Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah, as the lead actress.
As the lead actress.
Screaming. Yeah, there's kind of a little kind of Strangers influence, house invasion sort of thing going on as well. But also they said, quite pointedly I thought, they said redesigned for the DualShock 4.
That's exciting.
Because originally it was Until Dawn was like a move game,
yeah.
and there's no mention or Morpheus at all. It said DualShock 4.
Yeah.
So maybe a more traditional
PS4
game than
only
we thought.
now.
Yeah, totally rebuilt from the ground up.
We're on to our fourth one.
Which is big games, Mari.
Big games.
Like Sony did have some big games there, but they were kind of more in the kind of second, third, towards the end of the presentation. And it's kind of continuing the trend where first parties are signing up deals with big games. So we had, what did we have, Destiny?
We had Destiny. We know Destiny's closely aligned with the Sony brand, but just announcing the first DLC pack in December is coming to PS4. They had Shadows of Mordor, which they didn't really say what was coming.
But Shadows of Mordor was there.
But something
and then the other thing was Far Cry. And the really cool thing that's coming to PS4 only is the keys to Karat.
Yeah,
so
that's
these are 10 keys that you can gift a friend of yours, and it allows them 2 hours access to Far Cry 4, even if they don't own the game.
Yeah, which is really cool. I mean, that's smart for Ubisoft because it's sort of like that gateway drug.
Yeah, they didn't really go into much detail whether you can give all 10 keys to one person and they can play for 20 hours.
Yeah, that was a really good question. I like that. We're going to find that out soon. The fifth one, last one before they kick us out. There's a guy with a gun over there.
Share play. Share play is kind of similar to Keys to Karat. So when the system update comes to PS4 in this autumn or fall in America, you can like share the game to any one of your friends that doesn't actually own or download the game. So I assume this is using Gaikai technology.
Yeah, it seemed interesting. It almost seemed like what Microsoft kind of originally said could
Sony
possibly
doing
happen
what Microsoft were
with
originally
Xbox One. So yeah, I found that really interesting. They only sort of brushed around it. I'm curious to see.
That could be a bit of a secret weapon come up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Come, Christmas, if a few of your buddies all get different games and you can share them with each other, I like that.
Oh, it's the utopian ideal as a child.
Especially for cheap. Those are the 5 big things coming out of Sony's conference, but there was so much more. It's only the beginning of Gamescom. We're going to have so much more throughout the week. So for everything else, Sony, video games, cheap kids, and Gamescom, we're cheap. You're already in the right place. IGN.com.